The late afternoon sun stretched long golden fingers across the cracked schoolyard as laughter faded into uneasy silence. In the center of the playground, little Mason knelt on the rough asphalt, his shoulders shaking, soft sobs breaking the air. His torn backpack lay scattered around him, its contents spilled like the fragile pieces of his heart. The other children stood frozen, their earlier taunts now hanging heavy in the air, replaced by guilt and fear. Mason's small hands covered his tear-stained face, his quiet pain louder than any words. It was a moment so raw, so heavy, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Moments earlier, Mason had tried to escape the mocking voices, keeping his head down, hoping silence would shield him. But bullies can smell fear, and they circled like predators. A rough shove sent him stumbling, and a sharp tug tore his backpack apart, spilling books, pencils, and his treasured sketch pad onto the unforgiving pavement. The laughter that followed cut deeper than any wound. Mason sat frozen, trembling, as his strength crumbled beneath the weight of their cruelty. Tears blurred his vision, falling onto the scattered remnants of his world. Then, through the aching silence, a low, fierce growl shattered the air. From the edge of the playground, a battered German shepherd emerged like a shadow brought to life. His coat was dusty, his frame lean, and a faint scar traced across his ear, telling stories of survival. This was no pampered pet. This was a fighter. Yet his eyes burned with something fierce and pure. Without hesitation, he strode toward Mason, planting himself between the trembling boy and the stunned circle of children. His growl deepened, steady and commanding, a warning carved into sound. The bullies froze, their laughter dying in their throats. One backed away. Another turned and ran. In that moment, the stray wasn't just a dog, he was a shield. A silent guardian, answering a call no one else had heard. Mason lifted his tear-streaked face, meeting the dog's steady gaze. Slowly, almost afraid to hope, he reached out a trembling hand. The shepherd lowered his head and pressed his cold, damp nose into Mason's palm, sealing a bond without words. In that single heartbeat, the chaos faded, replaced by a quiet warmth Mason hadn't felt in years. Safety. When the teachers rushed in, the boy clung desperately to the dog's neck, refusing to let go. The shepherd's stance softened, his job done for now, but his presence remained unwavering. Mrs. Kent, the stern principal, approached cautiously, her eyes wide at the sight. Even the adults sensed this was more than coincidence. This wasn't just a stray wandering in at the right moment. This was something meant to happen. That night, when Mason whispered he wanted to name him Shadow, it wasn't just a name. It was a promise that neither of them would ever face the darkness alone again. Mason's mother arrived in a rush, her heart pounding when she saw her son clutching the dusty German shepherd as if letting go would shatter him. For a moment, she didn't see a stray dog. She saw a lifeline wrapped in fur. Shadow sat calmly beside Mason, his tail giving a gentle wag as if assuring her he's safe now. When Mason whispered, "He saved me, Mom," her tears spilled freely. That night, Shadow curled at the foot of Mason's bed like he had always belonged there. Calls to shelters and vets brought no answers. No one was missing a dog like him. It was as if he had appeared from the shadows just for Mason. To the boy, it didn't matter where Shadow came from. What mattered was that for the first time in his life, he didn't feel alone. In the days that followed, everything began to change. Word of the mysterious stray spread through the school like wildfire. Children who once ignored Mason now looked at him with quiet respect, and the bullies who had tormented him kept their distance. Every morning, Shadow walked proudly beside Mason to school, his head high as if he knew his purpose. In the afternoons, he waited faithfully by the gate, tail thumping when Mason appeared. Teachers began leaving water bowls near the entrance, and kids would sit beside him, offering treats and soft whispers of gratitude. But the greatest change was in Mason himself. The boy who once kept his eyes on the ground now smiled, spoke up in class, and filled his sketch pad with colors instead of shadows. Shadow wasn't just a stray anymore. He was hope with 4 legs, a guardian who had stitched a broken child's heart back together with nothing but loyalty and love. Then came the day that broke Mason's heart. Shadow didn't show up at the school gate. Mason waited until the sun dipped low, his small hands clutching his backpack straps as fear crept in. He searched every street, every alley, calling Shadow's name through trembling lips, but there was only silence. That night, Mason cried himself to sleep in his mother's arms, the emptiness beside his bed unbearable. 3 long days passed until just before sunset, a familiar bark echoed in the driveway. Shadow limped toward him, thinner, a fresh scratch across his muzzle. Mason ran, tears streaming, wrapping his arms around his loyal friend. In that moment, nothing else mattered. His guardian angel had come home. As Mason clung to Shadow, he noticed something drop between them, a crumpled piece of paper, damp from the dog's journey. His mother unfolded it with trembling hands. In shaky handwriting, the message read, "Thank you. Your dog saved my daughter from being hit by a truck. He dragged her away just in time. I don't know where he came from, but he's a hero." Mason's tears blurred the words as realization washed over him. Shadow hadn't just been gone, he had been saving another life. From that day forward, Mason understood his companion was more than a stray. Shadow was a guardian, a silent protector sent to watch over the forgotten and the fragile. Sometimes he would vanish again, only to return with tired eyes and new stories written in his scars. And every time Mason whispered the same words into his fur, "You're my hero." From that moment, Mason's world changed forever. He no longer saw Shadow as just a stray who appeared when he needed a friend. To him, Shadow was something extraordinary, a protector with a purpose larger than any one person. Though he always returned home, there were days the dog would disappear, leaving Mason waiting at the window with both worry and pride in his heart. When Shadow came back, there was always a story written in the quiet depth of his eyes, a story of someone else he had saved. Mason learned that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they walk on 4 tired paws and carry scars as medals. For the Thompson family, and for every life Shadow touched, he was more than a dog. He was hope itself, a reminder that kindness and courage still exist in the world, and that sometimes angels come wrapped in fur. Years later, people still spoke of the dusty German shepherd who appeared out of nowhere and changed a boy's life. Shadow's story became more than a memory. It became a legend whispered on playgrounds and in quiet homes. For Mason, now older and stronger, Shadow remained his truest friend and guardian angel. Whenever life felt heavy, he would sit beside the faithful dog, resting his hand on that scarred ear, and remember the day hope walked into his life on 4 worn paws. Some bonds are written in the heart, and theirs was a story of love that time could never erase. One of the most powerful lessons from this story is that kindness and protection can come from the most unexpected places. Shadow, a stray dog with nothing of his own, became a guardian and a source of healing for a hurting child. It reminds us that true love and loyalty are not measured by wealth or status, but by selfless actions. For older generations, this story speaks to the importance of paying attention to the quiet signs around us, the small acts of courage and compassion that often go unnoticed. It also teaches us that no one is ever truly alone. Sometimes help arrives in a form we never imagine. Life has a way of sending protectors and blessings when we least expect it, especially when our hearts remain open. For seniors, it's a gentle reminder that purpose and love can appear at any age in any form, even on four legs with a wagging tail. It's never too late to believe in second chances, healing, and the quiet miracles that can restore faith in the world.